Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and this is something that I did not know. I did not know that Ledger, the company that we get Ledger Nano S, Nano X, and all that from, I did not know this. This is something that Link2 put out. Invest in the company storing 20% of the world's digital assets and 30% of the world's NFTs. Invest in Ledger with Link2. That's quite the market share right there. And a reminder, they don't just do that. They also are doing institutional custody, like the back end of some of these major platforms. So the link to Link2, who's one of my sponsors, will be in the top of the description of this video if you want to go check it out. Now, I love this right here. This is from Brad Combs Digital Perspectives. XRP Las Vegas 2023 is about to sell out. Bitcoin Miami never sells out. That is funny. And that's at xrp-lasvegas.com if you want to check that out. What is this tweet right here? This guy retweets a tweet of his from September 20th, 2022, in which he says, XRP really all you need. Pay close attention to $7, $11 to $13, $27. Golden ticket. I think he's right about that. And then Zach Rector had tweeted this. Interesting, and he's right about this. Interesting how the CEO of SBI Holdings, SBI Holdings is a Japanese company. Yoshitaka Kitao runs it. SBI bought, I think, 10.5% of Ripple back early on. He says, interesting how CEO of SBI said every bank in Japan will use XRP by 2025. He didn't mention a private version of XRP Ledger. That's a very good point. And then there's this from CoinDesk, speaking of Japan.
Yeah, I mean, cautious is a really diplomatic word. Our colleague Nick Day referred to it as scathing when he reported on the White House report, which I think is very accurate if you look at the White House report. I mean, this report, I really recommend everybody read it because it is indeed scathing. Just to pull out like a sentence from it, indeed, crypto assets to date do not appear to offer investments with any fundamental value, nor do they act as an effective alternative to fiat money, improve financial inclusion, or make payments more efficient. That's just like a small tidbit of that White House report. Like they're not feeling it. They're not into crypto, right? So this is just like a warning document. Now, Japan, of course, is very aware of the risks, associated with crypto, but the language is so different. Now, the Japanese report is not translated to English yet, as far as I'm aware, but just, our colleagues at CoinDesk Japan did interview the Secretary General of the party's Web3 project team, Shiozaki-san, and, there's basically language in this document that says things like, the cryptocurrency industry was once driven by early adopters, but now it will shift to mass adoption. I mean, Japan is envisioning this world in which, everybody's using crypto, everybody has wallets, everybody's using NFTs. I mean, the two countries could not be more different in how they are looking at this issue.
Exactamundo. Well, Laura Shin interviewed Tom Emmer, and he had something to say about it.
I mean, let's just talk about Gary Gensler at the SEC. He's a Warren disciple. This guy, in my mind, is a bad faith regulator. He's been blindly spraying the crypto community with enforcement actions while completely missing the true bad actors. He says he's got an
Maybe that's because he's in bed with the bad actors.
But a company like Coinbase, right, which accessed that open door and started working with Gary Gensler's SEC. By the way, Coinbase, I would argue, is one of the most regulatory compliant crypto companies out there. Well, guess what? Gary Gensler might have an open door, but it is an enter at your own risk door, because what he does is, despite several meetings over several months, Gary Gensler's SEC refused to provide feedback on a product. It was called the Earn product that Coinbase was looking to list. And instead, after all these meetings and nothing happening, the SEC slapped Coinbase with a Wells notice regarding the very issues on which Coinbase was asking for their feedback. Clearly not the way the government should be serving Americans. And it sends a clear message, I believe, to the broader crypto community. And that directly is Gary Gensler is not regulating in good faith.
If you
Exactly. Look at this. Texas bill would create state-issued gold-backed digital currency. Question: if anybody creates a gold-backed digital currency that's literally backed by a government, state government or whatever, why would you own anything else? Coming soon to the USA, look at this. I'm not going to play that, it's got music, but these are riots going on all over the place, all over the world. And if the government of the United States keeps acting against its own people, they're going to get the same freaking thing here. Now, looks like Elon Musk has removed the gimmick Dogcoin from the site. And I said, looks like Dogcoin Twitter gimmick is over. When bring in the real X.com, Elon Musk? I like a good joke like everyone, but I love the real thing. XRP, the real thing. Now, here's two great clips that you need to listen to about what's going on in the world. If I can get it to play. Let me hit the refresh button on that.
Better than I can. So let's show this little video of Mr. Bhutto or something from Kenya saying that we're not going to trade in this anymore. This is aloha.
For the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. And secondly, we, through the central bank, we are having conversations to reinstate the interbank exchange market that has since not worked. And I am happy that the players in that sector, including our banks, are coming forward and they are participating, and they are working with the central bank so that we can again take charge of our market and that it is not allowed to be distorted.
So, okay, so...
Wait, what was he saying there, Andy?
So what he was basically saying is you need to get out of dollars and you need to do it quickly. And that if you don't, the whole market is changing and you need to go see a nurse if not. And what he was basically saying is get out of dollars. And when you see that in conjunction with purchasing oil from the UAE and from Saudi Arabia in Kenyan shillings instead of dollars, this is a very, very ominous sign. Amongst a few other things that have happened since we've had our last conversation that I think are very important and must be spoken about, and how it all affects this moment when the world snaps their fingers and no longer takes dollars for oil. The ramifications of that are extraordinary and will be very similar to what you spoke about at the beginning of this conversation, where, you know, if the dollar collapses and all those dollars come flooding home and interest rates spike to the moon, everything in this country changes in the blink of an eye. Not only are the three pillars of wealth, stocks, bonds, and real estate, inversely correlated to a rise in interest rates. And we're not talking about a 25 or 50 basis point interest rate hike. And you can see just raising interest rates to 4.5% has already almost broke the entire world financial banking system. But I'm talking the world dumping dollars globally because they no longer need to hold it to own oil. The ramifications of that and hyperinflation as those dollars come flooding home, because as you mentioned, every country's had to own dollars since.
That's exactly right. Listen to the second part.
In favor of another settlement currency for oil it's terrifying.
Another settlement currency? You don't say. We're going to pick this back up, but I'm writing that down. Another settlement currency, like a bridge currency?
Because everything that makes people feel wealthy in this country is inversely correlated to that moment. And when the dollar dies, along with stocks, bonds, and real estate, what does that mean? What does that mean in the analogy of 7 hungry Marines eating a raccoon? When the supply chains are completely broken, the dollar is worthless, the grocery stores are empty, people have no cash, they're ill-prepared for what is coming. So yes, they will come knocking. And as in my mind's eye, I guess I would say when people have nothing to lose, they lose it. And that's the kind of environment that I would envision, God forbid, that we're not so really far away from when you look at the pieces that are being put into place. I'd like to mention one in particular. And it's really being overlooked, in my opinion, by the media, and I don't quite understand it. And this is the peace deal.
Listen to what he's saying here, because I'm going to remind you of something after you listen to it.
And it's really being overlooked, in my opinion, by the media, and I don't quite understand it. And this is the peace deal that has been brokered, by the only adult in the room, and that has been China.
There's another person who I think was the adult in the room on that topic, and I'll show you in a minute.
Brokering a peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, two mortal enemies.
And also, isn't Saudi Arabia around Iraq also?
Well, Iran and Iraq, they've also brokered a peace deal between Iran and Iraq, where they've now built a railway between the two countries. Yeah. They are mending fences. But in terms of what happened in Saudi Arabia, here you got Sunni and Shiite. They've been at each other's throats for centuries. And it is a reconciliation between the two countries brokered by China. And the two countries are now reestablishing diplomatic ties and opening embassies in each other's country.
And then also what happened was when Biden went to Saudi Arabia, they didn't even talk to him. Because why would they talk to him? He's a woke guy. He says, we're gonna put oil out of business. Well, I'm gonna talk to Biden. You know what I mean? Right. But when Xi goes in, the guy ahead of China, he gets a royal welcome because he's going to buy oil from Saudi Arabia. And it was Biden who cut down the Keystone XL pipeline that sent oil from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel, which destroys the middle class because they can't afford, they got to choose between putting gas in the car or eating. And that's why I used the example of sitting there with this one little raccoon. And at least we had something. But when the other 7 guys came across and they were starving also, you have not lived and seen desperation like that. And I'm saying to all of you, if you kids are starving.
Now, they're talking about a peace deal in the Middle East as if this is the first time it's happened. It's actually not. This is what they're referring to. Saudi Arabia is joining an anti-Western influence bloc formed by Russia and China in a sign of Riyadh's deepening ties with Beijing as U.S. pivots away from the Middle East. Well, does anybody remember the Abraham Accords that were put together by Trump and Jared Kushner? And if you don't remember, I've covered it on this channel before. Jared Kushner, literally his family was best friends with Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel when he was in like middle school. Netanyahu would go to their house and spend the night. Here's Trump. Look at this. Remember this? This is something that has never made any sense to me, is at the very end of Trump being president. And this isn't, I'm not even telling you a political thing. I'm just saying at the end of Trump being president, I remember watching this piece and then watching what happened, and then the new president comes in, and I remember thinking, so you're telling me that after 50 years, they get these Abraham Accords, and all of a sudden you've got peace with Israel and these countries over there, and then Israel, who pretty much runs the world, is going to say, oh, well, it was first peace we've had in 50 years. We're just going to throw that away because the U.S. has a new administration coming in. That doesn't make any sense. And here's another thing. Remember what I just told you about Jared Kushner? Do you remember his buddy, like one of his best friends that goes by the name of Ken Kurson? Yeah, the same Ken Kurson he's not now, but he was a board member at Ripple. And he and Trump were friends. It says this can be very beneficial for Ripple towards the path of adoption. So let's look at what we've seen, folks. We've seen an SEC that comes after Ripple. We've seen a government that appears to be coming after crypto and Ripple. And many of you may not remember, but the government also went after Ken Kurson, who was on Ripple's board right at the end of that administration, and right around the same time that piece was being done over there. I've never forgotten that. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I believe that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than we realize. Thanks for listening.